But keep his dear wife and family in prayer. Barbara said she's taking time to just be with cat and dog right now and just being still. So please keep her in your prayers. And we need to keep the rest of the world in prayer too. There's so many hurting people. Today I'm going to be speaking about Jonah and how he was running to someplace and running away from someplace and looking here and looking there and not knowing what to do in his life. But after I got through reading the chapter 1 through 4, it's a small book if you want to read the books of Jonah or the chapters in Jonah. I recognized what it was saying to me a whole lot was about forgiveness. Forgiveness. How God forgives us, whether we can forgive ourselves or we forgive others. And so I would like to open this morning with the daily word. And it says, as I forgive, I am free. I am free. So if you like, just take time to go into that still, small place within you. And just take a few deep breaths, if you like, behind those beautiful masks. And just relax and let go. Let go of the hustle bustle of the day and of the week. And just know that right where we are, God is. God's light, God's love, God's peace surrounds us. We're in the presence of the Almighty, who loves us without measure. No need to fear. Just be still and know. Know that as I forgive, I am free. Forgiveness is an act of love for myself as well as others. I forgive in order to cleanse my heart of negativity and to open to the love of God. Forgiveness is not about another person. It's about me. For when I forgive, I release judgment, hurt, resentment, and then I find freedom. I find freedom in giving forgiveness to others. I am loving myself enough to embrace freedom for me. I choose to see the situation that caused me pain in a much different way. And every experience is an opportunity to learn and an opportunity to choose to be an overcomer rather than a victim. The love of God is at work in all situations. All situations. Forgiveness frees us to focus on what is true and everlasting. That is the oneness with God that we have, and the oneness we have with each other. In 2 Timothy 1:7 we read, "For God did not give us a spirit of cowardice, but rather He gave us a spirit of power and of love and of self-discipline." Our loving Creator, come to you right now just giving thanks. Thanks for all the blessings that you have bestowed upon us and that are in us and with us daily. May we look and see the beauty of all that you've given us, the friends, the fellowship, this beautiful world, and life itself. May we not take our life for granted and the lives of others, but may we grow and may we expand in that spiritual awareness and wisdom as your Holy Spirit leads us and guides us into greater truths of understanding each other and opening our heart that your love can be felt wherever we go, each and every one of us. May we all be that blessing to others. Thank you, God. For those that are here, I think you recognize that Unity Church of Winston-Salem is a metaphysical church. So it's like, what is metaphysical? To some of you may wonder that. Metaphysics is when you go beyond just the words to look at a deeper meaning. And I feel like that everything is metaphysical if we could just go a little deeper and seek the truth. And so words, people, and places in the Bible, all through it, it's almost like a code. To me, the Bible is the evolutionary process of the human soul and how it evolves. And each character in any of the stories is a part of who we are, is a part of our consciousness and its development. Each town, city, whatever's going on, if you go a little deeper and do research to find out what it means, you'll find that there is a lot of wisdom in going beneath just the words. So I would like to share with you the story of Jonah. And I've talked about Jonah and the whale, I'm sure many times over the years I've been here. But usually it's on that mundane level of being caught in that darkness of life, being in a place where what you're receiving is the smells, the trash, the stuff that was in the belly of that fish. And it's like where we wind up sometimes in darkness in our own stinking thinking. We've used that term before. So that's sort of what that meant to me. But as I began to read this week, I realized there's lots of little words in there that I've never paid attention to. And the story it goes on, it's only 4 chapters, if you'd like to read this today and see what you get out of it, that Jonah is someone that's very wise, he's very intellectual, but he also has a connection with Source, so he's considered to be a prophet in that day. So he could give information that it would turn out that information would be true. And so he was real proud of that talent that he had, or that connection that he had. And whatever he told you, he wanted it to be right. He didn't want to be wrong. And so he was being sent. God told him to go to Nineveh and take the message to these people, that they needed to have spiritual instruction. And where they are right now is a place where they're doing things that are against the laws of God. Lower me down a little bit. Against the laws of God, and that they were going to be destroyed. So he was sent to, thank you, he was sent to a place, and he was told by God to go and tell the people that they were going to be destroyed if they continued to live the lives that they're living, the lives that they were living, the actions, the deeds, all these things. And so Jonah, he lived in the town where it was named after his father, and that caught my attention early this morning. And in that town, what it represented metaphysically is that he was taking on the characteristics of his dad. You know, when we live with our parents, our grandparents, and we're close to them, what we're going to begin to receive is their wisdom and their knowledge and what their belief system is. So here Jonah was staying close to his father and the upbringing of his father. So what he believed to be true in his world was actually the beliefs of his father, his grandfathers, and those before him. And we're the very same. That's what we tend to do. We tend to believe what we've been taught, and we're a little afraid to come outside of that box. And probably that's what most of us have experienced down the line. We had a belief system, and then Spirit began to call us into deeper waters. We started looking for more understanding of the truth that could set us free. And so when he has to go there, he made up his mind, no, I'm not going to that town. I'm not going to take this message. This is not what I want to do. And that's a part of us being young people. When we know that there's something we need to do or being called to do, sometimes we want to buck against things. And we want to do something different. We want to do things our own way. So he goes, leaves his father's house, and he goes on his way, and he gets a ticket to go to Tarshish is where he's going. And what that represents is a place of learning more. It's more intellectual, more knowledge, more wisdom, more teachings, more things of the world that are concrete to you. And so he was searching for, what do I need to know to go ahead and do what it is I need to do in life? Well, God was telling him to go take a message. But right now I'm kind of getting a tap on the shoulder. Elizabeth, get grounded a little bit. The message that we are to be taking out to the world, but really to our own consciousness and beingness, when Spirit starts to deal with us, It is speaking to our spirit, our soul, our mind, our body. And that message is, in spirit, in God, you are free, you are unlimited. I'm hearing the song, is where I'm getting these words from. There are no chains that bind me. I am free, I am unlimited right now. We have so much potential, but we don't understand the spiritual aspect of who we are enough to work from that higher consciousness, that higher place of knowingness. So here Jonah, he had a lot of information, he had a lot of talent, and he liked to travel and do things, but he didn't have this spiritual aspect to him. He didn't have that. If he believed in a thing, he believed in it. And what this is about too, he believed in his teaching, he believed in his doctrine. And I can see this in churches, and I can see it in the world right now, that we're in this place, that we have an opinion of how things are, and you cannot change anybody's opinion. Do you know that, don't you? Very seldom can you change somebody's opinion of how they've been brought up and how they think. It has to come from within. Something has to trigger within before we start looking and finding truth that can set us free. So this was where Jonah was at. He was at that place that if he believed these people were wicked, and he wasn't going to have anything to do with them, because the reason, I caught that at the front of it too, he didn't want to go because he knew that God was a just God, that God was a forgiving God, that God was a loving God. And he thought, what am I going to do? Go there. If I tell them this, more than likely God's just going to forgive them anyway. And I don't want to be wrong. If I call hellfire down on their head, I want them to be punished. So he was going in a different direction with this. But then he wound up, he was on a ship. And he was running in a different direction. But where he was wanting to go is a place that was about, where he got the boat at, was about 40 miles from Jerusalem. And it was the Mediterranean. That's where he's at. So what he's telling me, if he's going at this seacoast, at the Mediterranean, the metaphysical meaning for that would be, or a part of that would be, is he's going to a place that's very, very beautiful. And it's 40 miles away from Jerusalem. Jerusalem represents the place of the heart, the place of love. So actually, he's not too far away from love. But yet he's not allowing love to be in the message. He's in the message of an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. And it's going to stay that way from him. And he knows no different. So he feels like he's in the right. So he begins to journey out into the deep waters. And as soon as they set sail, it seems, there's a tremendous storm and winds coming. And the boat was rocking. And it was about to go under. And everybody was the men on board were throwing things overboard to try to lighten the load. They didn't want to go down. And they realized that here Jonah was off asleep somewhere. They woke him up and said, come up here. We're all praying to our God, and get on board and pray to your God, because we want to be saved. We don't want to go under. And so as they prayed, they began to decide. After that, we've called on our gods, and it's still, the storm is going. We don't know what to do. So let's get out and, kind of throw some, check out, see if we can find an answer by throwing out lots and like stones or cards, or doing the things that people do when you can't figure out something. You go to a psychic, or you look at your cards, or you do your pendulum and all that. They were in that place. They wanted to seek assistance in some way, but they were still looking outside of their self, trying to find that assistance, a higher power to give them assistance. So when they did this, the answer pointed to the problem was Jonah being on board. And so they turned to him and said, okay, Tell us what to do, what's happening. You've already told us a story while you've been on the ship. You told us that God told you to go to Nineveh, and you're not going there. That you don't want to take a message to those wicked people. You don't want to be a part of them. And so what do we do from here? He said, well, what I'd suggest you to do is just throw me overboard. Just throw me overboard. And if you throw me overboard and I'm gone, then I think the storm would just cease. I don't need to be on here. I shouldn't have come along anyway. So he was recognizing he made a wrong turn, and he was willing to pay the consequences. And that's what this story is about also, is that we don't know what the higher laws are for most of us. And we find ourselves in pain and agony and in dark places in our life because of not knowing what to do, not knowing from the heart the truth that will set us free. So they throw him overboard, but in the meantime they were praying that they didn't have to, because they didn't want his blood to be on their hands. They were good men. They didn't want to cause him any harm. And so he's thrown overboard, and it says that God sent a big fish. I think I was always taught when I was a little girl it was a big whale. Whales don't swallow people. But anyway, there was a big fish, is the story, and it swallowed him. And he prayed and he prayed. I think he was in the belly of the whale probably for 4 days and nights or something like that. And he, told God he needed to just die. I mean, these circumstances, I can't handle it. This stinking stuff in here, and the seaweed wrapping around my neck, all this kind of stuff. Just let me die. Just let me die. But after a while, the fish swam closer to shore. The story goes and throws him out. He upchucks, and up comes Jonah. At that point, Jonah was really willing and ready to go run to Nineveh and take the message. I think Nineveh happened to be about a 4-hour journey, or no, 4-day journey maybe. And for me, when I hear the number 4, it's a foundation for growth. And so all that was happening to Jonah was about growth also, to expand his awareness, to open his consciousness, to understand there's something deeper inside of him, and that love and compassion and right judgment needed to be a part of his life. And so as he was journeying on, he was a few days away, and he began to tell the people what he was doing and where he was going. And the word got to Nineveh before he ever did. And the king and the people there had heard that there had been people that were going against the will of God, and that they needed to turn from their evil ways. I mean, whatever it was that they were doing, they paid no attention to it all this time, because they didn't know that there was a God that was saying, don't do this, that, and the other. They didn't know right from wrong. They were just doing the things they were doing, not even thinking about it. So the message got there, and so the king told them, that he said, everybody, I want you to start turning from your evil ways. Let's start seeking God and repent of all the things that we have done. Now this is, I don't know why I'm saying this. This is way before we hear the message of Jesus and his death and resurrection. But here I'm seeing that God is a forgiving God. And the message has gone out that you need to repent. Repent. Sin is missing the mark, right? It's an archery term. Repent is turning around and going the different direction. I will not keep going in this direction, but I will go in that direction. Or evidently they were going in that direction, they go towards God. So that's what they were going to do. So that for a span of time, they didn't eat. They went on a fast. And they didn't even let their sheep or cattle eat or drink, maybe drink, but eat. Because they wanted to be in the presence of God and truly say, I'm sorry. I didn't know that what I was doing was wrong. It's like a child. But now that I understand, I'm willing and ready to turn to you, God. I'm willing and ready to do better. I recognize that's all any of us have to do. It's truly start on that path towards God. And as we do, God forgives. He forgave them. He forgave them because He saw what they had changed their hearts. They understood the spiritual laws of what on this plane of duality, good and bad, right and wrong, are all about. And so when Jonah got there and was telling them that hellfire brimstone was coming, so to speak, he said, "You're going to be destroyed." And he was taking that message. He realized there was no destruction happening, that these people were fasting and praying and had changed their ways. Well, he goes up on a mountain. He thought, "Now, Lord, you said they were going to be destroyed. And you got me to tell them that they were going to be destroyed. Now, I don't care if they've changed their ways. They deserve punishment. They deserve annihilation. They deserve pain and suffering. And I'm going to sit here on this mountaintop or this little knoll until I see the place burning up." Made me think of some thought forms we may even have today. Some people may not care if the whole world burns or if everything goes under, as long as what they said is truth. I don't want to be wrong, is what he was saying. I can't accept the fact that I'm a loser, is what he was seeing in his mind. I can't just be glad that everything's going to be okay for those people. They've been so evil. Something's got to happen. He didn't have that part of him that was compassionate, that was loving, that was gentle, that was kind, that was forgiving. He couldn't forgive those people. And so as he sat there, he was thinking, it's so hot. I guess, God, you ought to let me just go ahead and die. You should go ahead and let me die anyway, because what I said is not coming to pass, and I don't want to live if they're not going to be punished. Haven't you heard people say before, "I hope they get their just reward"? And even if they change, I still hope they go to some place that starts with an H. I've heard stuff over the years, and maybe you have too. Maybe we've even said it. I don't know. But this was the consciousness that Jonah had. But as he sat up there, miserable because he didn't have shade, that night a gourd grew up. And it overshadowed him enough the next day that he was sitting in the shade for a while. And he was content knowing that place is going to burn. And then a worm came during the evening hours and the night, and it ate on the gourd plant, and the plant died. And so there he's back in his old me attitude again. Life is so bad because it's not going the way I want it to go. I just might as well be dead. So he's back in that place. But we're all being called to go deeper inside of ourselves. If we have bitterness or resentment towards anybody or anything, can we begin to understand where it came from? Can we come to the place of growing spiritually enough to recognize the love and compassion of the Spirit of God that dwells within us? Can we turn loose of the egoic self or that lower nature and begin to process and journey closer to the heart? Where yes, we can look at those things that we call and people that we may call evildoers, but can we begin to go deep enough to say, how has that person been raised? What has been their upbringing? Why do they feel the way they feel? I found myself watching a movie that I would probably never watch, but it was about power and control and how they treated people so bitterly and so horrible. And I had just been wondering, how can people do such things? But I sat there watching it without any emotion on it this time. Usually I would change the channel the moment I saw what it's about. But for some reason I just sat there. And towards the end I wondered, why did I watch this? And all of a sudden I just knew why I watched it. So I could see something at a distance and see how people could be raised to feel like they were so wealthy or so whatever that you could treat people or animals or anything any way you wanted to just because. Now, I'm not saying but everybody, because you have wealth or anything like that, that's the attitude you have. But there are some people evidently that do. And so I could see why they would have that mentality. So it's a part of going to a deeper space of trying to understand the other person and the reasoning. But we can no longer judge. What I'm feeling right now is where we're standing is to recognize, I feel like I'm standing in between two worlds because we're still in that place where we have churches and we have teachings and these things, but we're coming to a place that we can work together, but we'll not be led by other people's authority, like I'm just going to use the religious order, but we will do things because it's not the rules of the game, thou shalt not, but we'll come to a place of we do the good in life because we long to do the good in life. We long to do what's right, just like when those people changed and turned around. They weren't doing it because God was going to punish them. You come to the place that you're doing just because you want to do. You're giving of yourself just because you want to give. It's not to try to look good, like Jesus was telling them that there are people that would stand in the temples and they want you to see exactly what they put in the offering plates because it makes them feel good. You know, look what I can do. But that person that just put in a little penny or so, they gave more than some of those people that were showing what they were doing. Because in life, sometimes I've heard a mother-in-law say, what are people going to think? You act out of what people are going to think. You know, it's not what people are going to think of you by doing stuff. If they're going to think badly of you, is that not telling you something? Just don't do it. You know, don't do it. But you don't have to do things just to look good either. We're coming to the place right now, I do believe, as we rise up in consciousness, that resurrection of life, that resurrection of love taking place in humanity's hearts and minds, we'll come to the place that each person, it says, you'll eat from your own fruit, your own tree. That means you're the judge, you're the juror. You're the one that's looking within. And you're the one that needs to forgive you of things when you know that you're going to turn loose of those negative ways and follow a highway, a higher way of being. So this is what Jonah was looking at, you know, but he couldn't forgive that. But then you realize it's time to go of those things, or he's going to be the one that's going to be hurting again. Nobody put Jonah in the belly of that whale, or that belly of the fish, except himself. Because God is a loving, forgiving God. When we began at the end of those 4 chapters, God was speaking to Jonah and he said, why was it you rejoiced when the gourd was over your head and you had shade? You didn't create that gourd. You had nothing to do with it, but you were so glad it was there for you. And then it was gone, and you mourned for that gourd. You mourned for that shade. It had been taken away. He said, but people that I sent you to, you sat there, and you want them to be punished. Their life, you didn't give the life to them. I'm talking in my own terms here, the story. I think God was telling him that, hey, you had nothing to do with creating these people, just as much as you had nothing to do with this gourd. But you watched them, and when they were finding life and they didn't have to die or be destroyed, you mourned because they were not. What's wrong with this picture, you know? What's going on here? You think more of something that is material or is of this world than you do the spiritual side of people. And these people, he went on to say, they don't know their right hand from their left hand. They didn't know good from evil, right from wrong. And you would condemn them for that. You would condemn them to destruction. We're walking a walk we haven't been before, I believe, folks. And as we begin to see all these stories, we can begin to see a reflection of ourselves and begin to understand humanity. We're not to that place right yet of recognizing we are all one. We all came from the same source. We didn't create ourselves or anyone else. Yes, we gave birth, a lot of us women did, to children. But that is only a vessel, a physical vessel that will pass away. God gave the spirit of life to all of us. We are from divine source. When we truly begin to understand we are more than this form, we can begin to rise up and begin to respect each and every person on this planet and maybe understand a little bit more why we're walking the path we're walking and begin to hold a space where we're not trying to control anybody. The seeds have already been planted. The Spirit of the living God is already moved upon the waters and upon this earth over and over and over again, calling people to come to a higher space of love and forgiveness. And I'm feeling like right now, this is that between worlds I'm feeling. We can just be here for each other, but we're not here to change each other. Your path is your choice. Your destruction is your destruction if you're destroyed. Your deliverance is your deliverance if you're delivered. For God is a God of forgiveness and love. All we have to do is repent of whatever evil things we've done and turn from those ways of hate and bitterness and destruction and war, self-centeredness, judgment, and start the other way. Whether anybody else wants to walk with us or not, that's our choice. Or whether we choose that path or not, that's our choice. But we have been just like those people in Nineveh. We have not been taught the truth of who we are, nor the power of who we are as sons and daughters of God. If you want to change in this world, you are the change. You are the light. You are the love and peace in this world. As Jesus said, you are the light of the world. Let your light shine that others may see. See what? See themselves. See ourselves. See each other for who we truly are. And then forgive and love. And rebuild. Rebuild. Create the restoration of all things through Christ that strengthens us. And so it is. Let us just pause for a moment and go inward. And recognize that we are creators. I am a creator of miracles. You are a creator of miracles. Moment by moment, choice by choice. Paul shared a powerful vision with what a spiritual community can accomplish through the teachings and the examples of Jesus Christ. It was a vision of unity, a vision of Jews and Gentiles. I would say a vision of all humanity, no matter what their belief systems, coming together and finding fellowship in a spiritual understanding of transition, of law, of ritual. Though they were once separated, the community begins to come together as one. Paul emphasized that this will happen to and through us someday. Our way shore demonstrated the possibility, and he taught the essential principles. That vision of love and unity is still waiting to be expressed fully right here, right now on earth. We must relinquish our resistance. We must turn our focus from mortal concerns to eternal truths and allow Spirit within us to do the work of creating the kingdom of God through us here and now. In Ephesians 3:20-21, now to him who by the power at work within us is able to accomplish abundantly and far more than all we can ask or imagine, to him be the glory. Our loving Creator, we give thanks for that Christ that was in Jesus, that came into manifestation, that he was the firstborn among many brethren, the first and the last Adam, that first Adam being living flesh, and that last Adam being living spirit. Spirit in Jesus, come to its fullest to be that example for us to follow. May we awaken to that truth that will set us free. Awaken to that knowledge of the laws of the universe. And that law is a law of love, a law of oneness, a law of peace, and a great law of forgiveness. May those laws be written within our heart at this day and this time, that they will no longer be on words of stone, hardened and forgotten, that can be broken at any time. But may we rise to that place of knowing I and the Father, I and the Creator, I and the Source are one. And all there is one. We are in you, God, and you are in us, and you are in all life. And I give thanks for the knowledge and the wisdom and the love and the peace that is awakening in hearts and minds of people all over this planet and beyond. Thank you, God. Amen. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those trespasses against each other. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever and ever. Amen. And always remember, don't be afraid of anything going on in this outer world, for the light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.